What's going on, guys? Hey, look, we're going to talk about a really cool project that just popped off on Kickstarter. I'm a little late when I'm talking about it, but I've been following it since before the launch, after the launch, and current. We're going to be talking about the eufyMake official, the E1. It's a UV printer, right? It looks amazing, right? It absolutely looks amazing. I definitely understand all the hype behind it. I completely get it. It looks like it could do some amazing things. And basically it's a desktop UV printer made for, I would say, consumers slash prosumers. I won't really say prosumers yet, simply because this is technically like its first iteration, the E1. I would say next year when they drop an E2, that's probably going to be more, it's probably going to be a fixed machine, plus it's going to have probably some more pro/industrial capabilities. So I'm not going to necessarily call it a prosumer. I'm going to just leave it at consumer. But boy, was I super excited. I almost clicked the button to reserve my spot probably a handful of times. Every time that I got ready to do it, I said, let me fall back a little bit. Let the hype, the YOLO hype, I would say fear of missing out, the FOMO. That's what we used to say in crypto world, the FOMO. I would let the FOMO kind of wear off, go back, try to do some more digging, try to find out a little bit more about the company, what's going on with it. Have they made other products? Do they still support those products, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I did that. And boy, did I come across a lot of concerns from the community who had previously purchased their 3D printers in the past, like the M5 and things of this nature, and how they had for a long time suspected that this company, eufyMake, was discontinuing the support altogether for those projects or for those machines. And they just never came out and said it. Now they finally had come out and said it like weeks ago, officially saying that they're going to be stopping all support for those machines. They will no longer be making those machines, and that they're basically rebranding and pushing everybody to the eufyMake official Reddit, where they're going to just only be focusing on the UV printer, the E1. That to me was a huge concern, a huge red flag, if you will, because the way this Kickstarter, the way this project is starting off, it reminds me of Glowforge all over again. If you guys don't know what Glowforge is amazing, right? I haven't featured it too much on my channel, but I think I might have some stuff still on here. I'll probably relist them since I have them unlisted when I did a relaunch of my channel. But Glowforge is an amazing thing. I don't want this video to be about Glowforge per se, but I want to reference it. Glowforge also was a startup when it first came out. And the way that eufyMake is presenting this project on Kickstarter and how they've launched it, it shows a lot of signs of the red flags that Glowforge also did in the beginning. A few of the things, right? Customer support is almost like non-existent in the beginning. They don't really want to answer questions. They didn't really have a FAO, or FAQ, sorry. They didn't really focus too much on the concerns of potential backers early. They focused mainly on the hype, of building the hype around it and trying to get it pushed out to get it sold. They needed those slots sold. And from a business standpoint, it makes sense, obviously, right? Because they're trying to get all the support in. They're trying to get all these units purchased and basically these slots taken so they can get those funds right away to get the actual build stuff going. So the company, wherever in China, wherever they're having it made, they can go ahead and start manufacturing these and getting these things sent out, right? The issue is you're going to have issues like shadow banning some of the community who have legitimate concerns simply because you don't want to take those questions, you don't want to answer them. And again, so one of the big things that I saw yesterday, which I was completely devastated for the users. I kind of have been making some comments on the Reddit, showing my experience with a successful, as today is, Glowforge is very successful. They went through a lot of bumps and they're still going through some bumps, but they've kind of made it way out of that Kickstarter stage, that startup stage, and they're rocking and rolling now, so, but they still have issues. But what I'm saying is that I've been kind of giving my experience with a similar project and just kind of making known to people that this is they're showing a lot of red flags that Glowforge also shared when they first started up. And, the biggest issue in my opinion right now is eufyMake does not have, and if I'm saying it wrong, I really don't care. It doesn't matter. You can tell me how to pronounce it in the comments. But eufyMake is relying heavily. They're relying heavily on their influencers, just like Glowforge. They're relying heavily on their influencers. And what this is doing is that they're trying to sell the product. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with that. All the companies do it, but all these companies are not made the same, right? So the issue is that the only content that you're really seeing from the UV printer, the E1 right now, it's only promoted content. This is a big red flag, simply because these influencers are not paid to be customer support representatives. What do I mean by that? The rest of the people that are backing the project, the rest of the people that are thinking about backing the project, they have concerns. Some may be legitimate, some may not be legitimate, right? It doesn't matter. The point is that people have concerns. They have questions they want to ask. They're seeing these awesome videos that are being promoted, and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. But people are naturally going to start to ask questions about this being a UV printer, ink consumptions. Do they have a system behind it that kind of lets you know how much, you're using / like how much is predicted to be used when you're doing 3D prints or 3D raised prints, how much more, ink are you using versus flat prints that are not 3D mapped and stuff like that. Regular concerns that people have. And the reason being is because the cost of the ink is a big concern of the community right now, because it's looking like it's very proprietary, right? Again, with the Glowforge, very proprietary system, meaning that you can't just go out on Alibaba or something like that and just get your replacement parts from like another industrial machine that's out there. That's the cool thing about having industrial machines, is that the parts and stuff and the ink and all that good stuff is always going to be cheaper because it's not proprietary. It's not like an Apple product where everything is like made by them. You got to get a lightning cable because nobody else uses a lightning cable but Apple, right? Like things like that when they used to have that. So it's very, very niche. It's very, very proprietary. And people have concerns because the price of the ink, for one, is outrageous. And then, it's things like that that are making people question, like, hey, the price of the unit, $14.99 or whatever it is, like, it's not that bad. But if you're paying $300 for a pack of ink, how fast does this ink run out? And how soon am I going to be able to have to, how often am I going to have to keep buying this stuff? Because $300 is a lot. Now, in terms of, oh wow, That's crazy. I just realized that they kicked me off the Reddit. I've been joined, and now I'm not joined anymore. It's telling me to join again. That's crazy. That's crazy. Maybe it's because of my comments. I don't know. But again, this is what I'm talking about. It's things like that. People don't want to hear it. People don't want to hear the possibilities of issues arising. They don't even want to hear the possibilities of anything can ever be wrong with this thing. And when you do that, it's going to raise eyebrows, right? It's going to raise eyebrows. Like I said, ink just being one of those things. Now, is it a completely big deal? In my opinion, because I've been running a business since 2020, like 5 years now. I've purchased everything from what do you call these things? Cricket machines. Whoever there's another company that makes bigger ones. I got one of those too. It's awesome. Dealing with vinyl qualities. What else do I got? Heat presses. My glow forge over there, back there that I still have. Oh man, we've had a love-hate relationship with this thing, but you know what? It still works. I've replaced about almost everything in it, and thankfully I've only had to have one unit. One. No, wait, I'm lying. 2 units. This is my second unit. It's a Glowforge Plus. It's my second unit. But I've had to replace everything in here just about besides the print head. That's about it. But I have a stack of spare parts that, in my opinion, just a little caveat, a little rant. If you if you buy a Glowforge now, whether it's one of their newer products or, older ones, which I'm thinking that they're going to be discontinuing support for these things because they're moving in a different direction. But if you do buy something from Glowforge or any kind of big company or whatnot, make sure that you are utilizing your warranty to the best of your abilities. And what do I mean by that? I utilize my warranty to the best of my abilities on these things when I started realizing I was having issues. So I started telling them, I'm having this issue. I need more parts. I just started getting more parts to stock up just in case something ever happened. I can just replace them on the fly and I don't have to deal with back-ordered stuff. But don't ever throw away your box either. Whatever they ship your thing in, whether it's eufyMake or whatever, don't ever throw away your box. You're gonna have to pay for that if you ever have to send this thing back in. Trust me. All right. But the concerns here are pretty legitimate. Like I said, the biggest red flags that I've seen has been because these influencers that are being paid to promote the product, who got the product first, to do their reviews, like normal, any other, anything that you've ever seen on tech reviews, blah, blah, blah. This is just how this is the standard. It's just how it works. Everybody has an NDA until the NDA date where they can post their reviews. And then you're going to have to deal with leakers and stuff like that. But in this case, it's pretty controlled. They knew who they sent it to. You don't want to screw around with the NDA and release stuff early or, and be found that you're responsible for leaking stuff, because it's going to be very, very bad for you legally, right? So the only thing is that I'm pretty sure, 90% sure, that in these clauses that they are having to be a reviewer, early test reviewer, that you are very controlled on what you can say and cannot say. Information that you can divulge and information that you cannot divulge to the public, right? So meaning that your job is to sell this product. It's to promote it, to sell the product. They need slots filled. Your job is not to become the eufyMake EV1 customer representative, like I said, the support representative. Your job is not to answer questions about reliability, sustainability, even, your frequently asked questions. You're not being paid for that. Your job is simply to sell the product and make it look good. The issue is that when nobody else has a working unit that's not a promoter, none of these questions get answered. eufyMake is not making any attempt to even entertain these questions at the moment because they're only focused on pushing the sales. And like I said, it's a iffy kind of thing. The biggest thing that concerned me is that when people started posting up about some of the promoters like Ryan Shearer, or Shearer, however you want to say it, him being one of the most notable ones, had a lot to say about people asking questions. And, somebody asked, let me see if it's somebody asked. Somebody asked a very concerning question. I'm going to show you that. I'm going to try to show you that question. Let's see if we can show you. So, you probably won't be able to read it very well. I'm sorry for that. Yeah. Pocket 3 is going to have a really hard time focusing on the screen. But somebody asked, my worry is that the ink is proprietary and the ink cost is much higher than normal UV ink, from what I've heard anyway. Steven said, for anyone else curious, I found some ink information. He posted it. 5 times the cost of standard UV ink. Yeah, I'll pass. That's how they get you with their low starting price, right? The concerning reply is simply this from Ryan Shearer. Honestly, I'm glad you canceled. You're a rotten apple. I have devoted hours on this machine. My audience knows, likes, and trusts me. We will all have a blast. People like you ruin it for everyone else. You are making statements as if you own one. Now, I kind of want to unpack that. And kind of just, I need people to understand that, again, his job is to sell the product. His benefit comes from, like he said, my audience. His audience, quote unquote, knows, likes, and trusts him. They don't know the product yet, and he hasn't expressed much about the product for them to know. They just have to go on his word, right? And he stands to benefit because every unit that he's going to sell, he's going to get commission off of that. Any proprietary ink that has to be repurchased, he's going to win off of that as well. So he has a lot of stake in this as far as how much he can make in terms of being able to promote it. The issue comes in is when people have legitimate concerns about the ink, and then they find the information and then they bring it forth to the promoter, and now the promoter is dismissing them, calling them a bad apple, saying that they're ruining things for people. How are they ruining enlightening the audience about something that is a general concern or just general information to have anyway? The thing is that nobody's talking about this. Now, maybe if he was promoting it and he said, hey, look, by the way, if you're looking to own this product, just know that the ink is going to cost you about 5 times more than the average industrial ink that you can buy for any UV printer outside of this device. There's nothing wrong with saying that, but you have to remember, eufyMake did not pay him to talk about that. They did not pay him to be a representative, a customer service representative as far as support goes. That's a support question, and he's not being paid to answer that. And so he's not. Instead of dismissing him nicely, his best option is to dismiss you like he did, by showing that the people that follow him are going to say, yeah, this guy's an idiot. Why would you even ask that question? Why would you even bring that up? They have to sweep it under the rug. But this is going to be a major issue, and like I said, it's sad. It's sad because, damn, this was my response. I said, I smell the red flags. I'm going to show you this, right? Hold on. What is this? Okay. I was like, hold up. But my response is that I smelled the red flags from a mile away from the beginning. I said, this is Glowforge from startup all over again. But this time, the support might not be the same. Let's go ahead and show you. I said, but this time, the support might not be the same. E1, the E1 means guinea pig. All the positive and negative reports will make way for a better improved E2 machine next year. The fact that they shadow ban anyone who might have legitimate concerns is also another red flag. The simple fact that all you see is promoted content is also a red flag. They are paid to sell the product, not tell you the horror stories or the endless frustrations that they have come across. Everyone else will have to find out in time, and only then will the community concerns be made visible and open to everyone. I'm waiting at least 6 months for the horror stories. Like Glowforge, don't throw away your box. It's shipped in, or you will have to pay for another one if it needs to be shipped back for repair. That was just my 2 cents on this post. And it's like I said, this is one of many that are going to come out about this. You already have concerns like this company, I swear, they're not answering anything. How are you going to start a Reddit and then not respond to anybody's concerns? It's very, very strange. But that's just what they're gonna do. Also, what you see in here are the actual promoters that are coming in to try to answer some of those questions, but they're not really answering them. They're more or less dismissing them and saying, if you have a concern about this, maybe you should ask them. But nobody else has a machine yet. Just you. So you answer them if you're going to come in here and speak. They're not going to, because like I said, they're not paid to do it. Anyways, all in all I'm saying is that the eufyMake E1 looks like a really, really cool concept. It's obviously not a concept anymore because it's obviously in the wild, but only to promoters. I think it's going to be an amazing thing. I think that the way that they're showing it to be used is really cool. I think that it could be a really good addition to my business for what I do. Do I think that I will get one? Like I said, I'm going to be waiting for at least 6 months so I can hear the stories. I'm not jumping into another Glowforge startup ever again. Said it with this, and I was like, I am done with Kickstarters. I don't give a shit. Excuse me. I don't care how good it looks. I don't care how good you make it look. I don't care if it has all the bells and whistles. If it looks like unicorn shit, you know what I mean? Rainbow. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to do it. Simply because when you jump into something this early, the support is not there. B, once you do get your unit, none of them are going to ship on time. The only ones that are going to ship on time are the people who paid the most. They're the ones that are actually going to get their shit right away. Everybody else is just going to have to get them as the manufacturer is able to assemble them and put them out. There are going to be horror stories from the very beginning of them not working, just like Glowforge. And another concern is that it's going to probably cost you over $1,000 just to ship it back if you don't have that box. Glowforge, this happened a lot. Glowforge had to get to the point where they had to sell you a box to be able to ship it back. And that box was not cheap. I think when I first got mine, I think that box was like $250. Yeah. Because I threw mine away and I had to get another one. And it was like $250 for them to send me the box. Then I had to pay the postage. So it was crazy. It was insane because the box was so large. It had to be on a crate. It was crazy. It was crazy. But what are you going to do? You know what I mean? And this is what's going to happen with this. I know it. It's going to happen with this. It's inevitable because, again, as a startup, the parts that you're going to need, replacement parts, are not going to be in stock. Everything's going to be back ordered because the manufacturer is focusing on putting out more units, not making these parts abundantly available for everyone else because not everybody has them yet. So it's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be a nightmare. And if support is this bad already, just expect no support. The only support you're going to have is the Reddit and other people that are complaining about similar things or different things, and people that have come up with, ideas or ways to fix or whatever. That's the only thing you're going to have here. Just like Glowforge, they have an official forum. They had to officially open up one because everybody else was doing Reddits and things like that, making them look bad. And it's very useful now. You know what I mean? To an extent. I know that I'm still waiting on parts for this thing. My warranty is gone, but they don't even have all the parts that I need in stock anymore because I found out that they're no longer supporting a lot of the stuff that are on the original units, like the regular Glowforge, the Glowforge Plus, and the Glowforge Pro. They are phasing those out because they have 2 new models that are coming in. They've taken all the feedback, all the guinea pig testing from everyone who was with them from the beginning to create newer models. I am all for that. Make it better, make it greater. But in the meantime, if you still have these machines, you're at the mercy of them. You know what I mean? You're at the mercy of them because none of these parts you can just go buy somewhere else. They're all proprietary. So you need to be very, very careful, guys. Be very, very careful. Be very, very weary of this company. I'm telling you right now, I'm not saying it because they're bad. I think that the concept and what they're doing is really, really cool. I think that it will pay off, but I don't even know at this point if it would get to where Glowforge is now. You know, that's kind of hard to say at this point. I think they're gonna make their Kickstarter goal. I'll be surprised if they haven't already. I'm gonna check here in a little bit, but that's not the entire story. Again, the entire story is going to, what's gonna make them or break them is going to be the support. The support and the openness, the transparency. If you don't have transparency, you're gonna go down very, very quickly because again, there are other options out there. There's just no other options at this price point. So when you're looking at $14.99 for the unit, $300 plus for the ink package, it's not super cheap, but compared to another unit, which may cost like $4,000 to $6,000, it looks very, very tempting. Just know that there's going to be pros and cons, right? Obviously, there's going to be pros and cons. So keep that in mind. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said, I have nothing against the promoters of this product. I have nothing against them. I think they're doing a fantastic job of being able to show people what this machine is capable of. The only thing that I'm concerned about is their transparency to their own fan base, to their own subscribers. They should feel at a level that they need to be, that there should be a level of transparency that they need to have, and I'm not seeing it yet. All I'm seeing is sell, 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 sell. I'm not answering your questions. I'm not answering your questions. I'm not answering your questions. And you gotta be aware of that. You know, you gotta be aware of that. That, I think, is what is concerning. So just look at the red flags, do your own research, and if it was in my opinion, I wouldn't touch this E1 with a 10-foot pole for at least 6 or 7 months to see the real horror stories, to wait for people who actually backed to get their units, to put it through some paces, because those are going to be the first people that are going to make these concerns absolutely visible to everyone. And they're going to be under no obligation from the company to lie to everyone. Or to, I won't say lie, I would say to willfully omit certain concerns. Let's just put it that way. Because I don't want to get them in trouble, and I don't want them to feel like they have to defend why they should not have to openly admit, or why they can't omit certain things, or they just stay silent about certain things. If I don't say anything, then you can't say I'm lying, or you know, can't say I'm confirming or denying. So you're going to see a lot of that until people actually get their units and they make things visible, like I said. So I wouldn't touch this thing, man. I wouldn't touch it. It's super cool, but guess what? You don't need to FOMO. Do not FOMO over this. Anyways, come join me on Reddit. You can find me on the Reddit site, I Am English TV. You'll see me posting quite frequently if I do not get kicked off, like I have gotten kicked off again. I was able to post again. So I apparently they didn't completely ban me. I don't know what's going on with it, but you can find me on there and put your concerns down. You know, as a community, I think that if you're potentially looking to get into this thing, or if you're already in this thing backing it, everybody should be able to come together and make enough noise until eufyMake officially has to say something. See you there. Peace.